my name is Vinay with DropShotDemon.com. Welcome to my video on recommended equipment and apparel. So I recommend that you get a bag such as this, because with these bags you can carry a lot of stuff. You can put multiple rackets. Say you break the strings on one racket, you have an extra racket in the bag. You can carry all sorts of stuff. But that's when you start getting into the game a bit more. But what do you wear? Clothes-wise, well, I recommend wearing synthetic material. This is a semi-synthetic, semi-cotton, but synthetic material works best for games like tennis and any sports outings in general. If you wear cotton, it's a bit more loose. There's a bit more material flapping around, and it becomes a bit less sort of aerodynamic when you're moving around the court. So I recommend wearing synthetic clothes. In terms of shoes, you need proper tennis shoes when you're playing tennis. And there are different tennis shoes for different courts. So these tennis shoes here, you can see the bottom right there. It's something called a herringbone bottom. This one is very good for all courts, but predominantly for hard and clay courts. For a grass court, you cannot really use these shoes. You need to go with something that has a bit more of a studded pattern, because the surface on grass is different, and you cannot really slide and stuff the way you do on a hard court or a clay court. So the shoes have to be different for grass, a bit more studded, whereas here it's a bit more sort of smooth, flat. It's called a herringbone bottom. That's used for clay and for hard courts. Then tennis balls, as usual, you can use all the big brands, Wilson, whatever, Cap, whatever you need. For rackets, I use a Wilson. I use a Wilson BLX 6195 Pro Staff. This racket is very good if you want a lot of control on your ball, because as you can see, the head size is pretty small. It's only a 95 square inch head size. If you want a lot of control on your balls and you want to go for a bit of power yourself, then this is the right racket to use. But for beginners, I recommend using something with a bigger head size, because that way it's a bit more head heavy, you get more power, there's a bigger sweet spot for you to aim at, and you don't require as big of a swing. For this one, you need to swing all the way through. For a bigger racket, like this one here, this is a Vocal PB10. It's a 98 square inch head size. It's still a control racket, but slightly bigger head size. Your swing doesn't have to be as full as with the Wilson. The advantage with this racket is you get a lot more power than that one. The advantage with that one is you get more control. And you can see whether a racket is a power or a control by, if you read on the racket over here, if you see the information, it'll give you the balance. And if the balance is a head light or HL, it means it's probably got more control on the racket. If it's got a more head heavy or HH balance, then it's probably got more power. So that's how you decide between a power and a control racket. And I would recommend, for more experienced players, going for a control racket may be what suits you more, because you're more experienced in the game. You can actually go for a full swing of the ball. You have better technique maybe. But for beginners coming into the game, I highly recommend getting a racket with a bigger head size. I would recommend probably 100 square inches or more, because that way it makes it much easier for you to learn the technique and practice it. And then once you've become better with the technique, then you can probably go for a smaller head size. So I recommend getting a racket with a bigger head size for beginners, and possibly a smaller head size with more experienced players. So this is my video on recommended equipment and apparel. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.